The anime genre has had a massive amount of cult classics that are constantly being recommended. Cult classics such as Akira, Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, Neon Genesis, the list goes on. By definition, cult classics are things that are the best of its kind or era defining with a certain group of people. Occasionally, cult classics are things that did poor financially upon release, but over time collected a strong fan base. Among those cult classics is an anime by the name of Black Lagoon, released in the same year as Warner Brothers' best film they have ever and will ever produce, Happy Feet. 2006 was actually a pretty banger year for anime. Hellsing Ultimate, Powerpuff Girls Z, Fate/Night or Fate Stay Night, whatever, Naruto, Guardians of the Crescent Moon Kingdom, my favorite Naruto movie, and Bleach Memories of Nobody, which is... I'm sorry. Real quick pause on this video. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you. Are you looking for something fashionable and affordable to wear anime related these days? Are you looking for an anime inspired t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, or even like lights or anything of that nature? Well, boy, I tell you, head on over to animeexpressstore.com and oh yeah, they'll hook you up over there. I actually just copped one of these Megami t-shirts. This thing's actually fire. I'm actually so excited to get it. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a special announcement for y'all. Go ahead at your next checkout, hit code DAFFY10 for 10% off your next purchase, man. Oh yeah, we sponsored now, so I can curse in this bitch. Yeah! Remember, Daffy10, DAFFY10 for 10% off on your next purchase, man. Black Lagoon is a seinen, meaning that it is a type of manga or anime that handles more mature and graphic stories intended for older audiences. Essentially your TVMA level stuff over here, like in the West. Not how like JJK is technically TVMA, but like a Game of Thrones, Barry, or a Warrior type of TVMA. Black Lagoon follows the adventures of a mercenary crew called the Lagoon Company. The series has two primary leads, Revy, one of the best markswomen in the entire show, and Rock, who is a businessman held hostage, who is now the heart of the Lagoon Company. In the Lagoon Company alongside them, we have Dutch, their cool, calm, and collected leader, and Benny, essentially their guy in the chair. Now this series has been stated to not be able to be released nowadays because it would get canceled, but that quite frankly isn't true. Plenty of edgy anime and manga have been released both before and after Black Lagoon, and they're doing just fine. Prison School, Made in Abyss, Chainsaw Man. I guarantee you probably haven't heard of this little manga, but it's a series called Berserk, and its first chapter has some absolutely wild stuff in it. Like, you remember how a redo of Healer was like the most popular anime of that year? Like, come on, bro. I've always heard that Black Lagoon is one of those animes that you need to watch, as it's, you know, people describe it in the same vein as things like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, and honestly, man, I don't see it. I certainly don't hate this series outright or anything. I mean, I stuck with it for over 20 episodes, so there's definitely some things that I liked, but I wasn't particularly moved or anything. The city of Ranipur is a Wild West town in the modern day, where assassins, prostitutes, and gangsters run the streets. I can't even say this is something like Gotham City. Like, dog, this is basically Gary, Indiana. In this show, everybody is a cigarette smoking badass in some right. Except Rock. Throughout the show, the Lagoon Company encounter a whole slew of threats and missions in a very episodic nature. While yes, there are a couple of arcs that range from 2 to 4 episodes, they are fairly far in between. Starting off with the good, I think the vast majority of this show's animation holds up even to today's standards. Considering it was released 18 years ago, oh my god, I'm old. Studio Madhouse did very well, and there aren't many scenes that outright look bad. The dub for the show is famously good. In particular, I would actually say that Rock and Revy's are the best, with maybe Dutch or Roberta coming into third place. Shenhua's dub clears out everybody, I gotta say.
My English is not very good because I am pure Taiwanese. Maybe you'd like for me to skin your ass, bitch?
Let's go, little Miss Chinglish.
Oh, you like for me to split your ass in 4? It is not nice to make fun. You one rotten bitch.
I think Rock's development into a competent asset to the crew is well deserved, even though there are definitely some missteps from him at certain points, but as Rock grows a backbone, he became one of my favorite characters, specifically in episode 7. Now before I talk about Rock in this scene here, while yes, I love Rock's moment here, very recently I was asked who my most hated person in anime is, and at the time I didn't really have an answer. Upon further review, it is this woman right here. Man, when I tell you this is the most emotionally volatile person I have ever come across in fiction, this woman is just I dislike Revy exponentially more than Sissy Saint from Snowfall. I mean, go watch that show. It's absolutely immaculate. And she is widely hated as one of the worst characters on TV. Bro, Revy pulling a gun on Rock and actually making an attempt to end his life because she got insecure that Rock actually decided to use his brain and make use of himself in a negotiation situation is absolutely wild. But Daphne, you don't understand. Revy had a hard, traumatic life. Listen. Me not care, okay? I'm gonna need y'all to spell a word with me real quick. ACCOUNTABILITY. Just because Rock doesn't submit to you and actually cares to challenge you on your actions without resorting to violence, you think you can just try and kill him? Like, I know there was some like weird like tsundere stuff that was like implied, like, oh, like, well, Revy, like, you know, thinks that Rock is like a shining knight in armor, and she doesn't, you know, she's afraid he's gonna change her. But it's just no, that's weird. It's very reductive. Like, I would legit ask if this woman is slow, but yeah, she's a fucking idiot. Rock rightfully calls her out in this argument that they have and states that with the skills she has, she could be somebody super high up in the world, but she chooses tasks like choosing to loot corpses, like with the neo-Nazis they found in the submarine when they're going after that prize painting. Revy starts having a temper tantrum and hits Rock with the "you don't know me, you don't know my life." And when Rock begins to challenge her again and offer up the idea that she could actually be the change and start to actually do some good, she responds with, "This is the only way I know how to have my life," and punches him in the face. Now, I already know what somebody's gonna say. Oh, media literacy is dead. This guy is dogging on my number one wife with Revy. Oh my god. Understand something. I get that Revy's backstory is nothing but tragic. The assault that she suffered not just by her father, but by the hands of the police as well. Both powers that in an ideal world should protect her, not inflict pain and trauma. Absolutely terrible, right? It's horrible. But flying into a violent rage and attempting to kill somebody when someone tells you that you don't have to let these horrible things define you is extremely reckless and erratic behavior. Now, I am more than capable of understanding that Revy isn't a badly written character, but it doesn't mean I have to like her. Everyone has these things that have happened to them at some point. I know many people, including myself, that have been through horrible situations that can mirror or be exactly like what happened to Revy, but they choose not to let these things define them and would rather not ostracize as many people that try to help them out as they can. That's probably considered a hot take nowadays, but that's the beautiful thing about opinions, people, is that everyone can have one, whether you agree or not. Rock in episode 7 actually surprised me, man. I'm actually glad to see that he actually, decided to stand up for himself and stand on business. But, Rock actually deciding to call Revy out and kind of challenge her on these ideals was really big for his character, because before that, he was just kind of, I don't know if I want to be here, but I want to go back to Japan. And so then we actually get to see what he's actually like, and then actually around episode 27 and 28 we find out that Rock's kind of fucked up. It's funny, actually, there were some discussions I've seen as I was researching the script where people were saying that in another timeline, Rock could have turned out like Chang. Was actually pretty interesting. There are no real good guys in this show, as it really all centers around crime. Rock is the quote-unquote purest person there, but like I said, he gets involved in some foolery later on. Now, as I said previously, some people have stated that this show wouldn't have been made today because it is edgy, and don't get me wrong, it most certainly is. Words like the R word for autistic folks, the F word for gay folks are tossed around in this show, as well as mature themes such as the exploitation and molestation of children. Particularly on the point of language, this show by no means is endorsing this language, as it is very apparent that the people saying these things are bad people. If you don't use these terms to refer to people because of your morals and the meaning and history behind such terms, then this shouldn't force you to turn it off by itself. Same thing with the explicit things that are shown. Unless you have a traumatic response to these things, which is completely and perfectly valid, then there should be no reason to turn it off or for it to get canceled because you know that this isn't endorsed or co-signed. So that's my piece on the whole "you couldn't make this show in 2024" type beat. There's plenty of action in this show, and it looks good for the most part, but there is a major factor that is required, and that factor is the audience's suspension of disbelief. Son, these niggas got worse aim than the Port Mafia from Bungo Stray Dogs. I mean, we ain't talking like Stormtrooper aim, it's like 3 times worse than that. If you ain't a main character or you're aiming at someone pertinent to the plot, you suddenly start spawning crippling cataracts in both of your eyeballs because not a single shot is hit on these people. Son, there is a scene specifically where one character is in an alleyway and this enemy faction pulls up in a van directly in front of her with fully mounted machine guns, and they miss every single shot on her. Bro, in the final arc of the anime, there are like 6 armed soldiers attempting to shoot this woman, and they have a 5-second head start, and she pulls out her big ass gun and mows all of them down. Like, this shit feels like a Jason Statham movie. It is ridiculous. Like, this is crazy for anime standards even. The plots, generally speaking, aren't bad or anything. I do definitely think that the most interesting was the mini arc revolving around the Hansel and Gretel arc, because that whole thing is simply tragic, and a vast majority of the things in that arc are discernibly real and lie within the real world as far as child exploitation. Benny is an alright character, doesn't really get to do much. Dutch is cool, but he's just the cool leader, kind of the blankest, member of the team, honestly. Revy is a psychopath, and Rock can be naive to the point of incompetence. There are times where Rock attempts to try and do the good thing, or starts trying to preach to the Lagoon Company about how they aren't taking the moral high road when he chose to stay with them and go along with their life of piracy. Et pourquoi c'est mad wicked? Generally speaking, I think that this show is entertaining. I wouldn't say this show is really boring, but I really don't know if I would recommend this to anybody that's new to anime or anything like that. Like, do you know how in Cowboy Bebop they had certain episodes dedicated to kind of expanding your knowledge and kind of growing your love for each member of the cast and crew that you see along for the ride? And we don't really get a chance to have that. Like I said, Dutch and Benny don't really do much of anything. They feel like side characters for real, and they're supposed to be part of our main crew. I never really felt too emotionally invested in anything that they did. Like I said, Revy frustrates me to no end. I understand that she's not a badly written character, it's just I just don't like her. And Rock can be very grating sometimes with the way he can, like I said, take the moral high road, attempt to preach to people, even though when he's doing the same thing and trying to get weapons for the Lagoon Company and all this, and willingly working with Balaleke, even though she's fucking crazy. Like, it's just, there's all these things, and so I don't know, man. I just combine the fact that this show got canceled. I know there's like a second season or like a second something, I don't know, but I'm basing this review off of the series that started in 2006, and so I don't know, man. Honestly, it's weird. I think if you want to watch this, you're fine, go ahead, but if you're not, I don't really think you're missing out on much necessarily. But yeah, it's me, boy Daffy Gosh. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. I might start doing more videos like this, just kind of like doing like overall like thoughts on certain anime series whenever I get the chance to start doing that. But yeah, it's my boy Daffy, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next video. Now make sure you take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Peace.